Welcome to the Minute of Strength. We're bringing you a three-part series this week, starting part one, in foundation pattern training. All right, so what I want to talk about is let's build a foundation of a movement pattern. Okay, so instead of making it about the tool and say, hey, I want to learn how to do a vintage swing, or I want to learn how to do a kettlebell swing. First of all, is that exercise proper for you? And only you know that if depending on what your goals are and what you're trying to achieve out of your practice. And I call it a practice because these tools are used, and this program and any type of program should be used as a practice for something else in your life. So the reason I want to bring you this series is we've had a brutal winter, at least here on the East Coast. It's been very cold for way too long. Tons of snow. You can't walk on the sidewalks. Your quality of life is diminished during these past few weeks. Again, those of you in LA, Gunner, I know you're not dealing with this, but back here it's been tough. But let's start to focus on springtime. It's around the corner. I've got lots of clients coming in now saying, hey, look, I'd like to get ready for my golf season, my tennis season. I have one client who plays hockey, tennis, and golf. So he's passed the practice throughout the year to keep his body strong. He plays a different sport every season, and he wants to keep his quality of life and maintain that and keep his body resilient, does not want to get injured. So I gave it some thought, and I said, well, let's look at one of the most prominent patterns in sport, especially things like tennis and golf, or anytime you're swinging a racket, or in this case, even throwing a punch if you're a boxer, or any type of mixed martial arts. Anytime that you're using your hips to generate energy, and your hand is holding something, hockey stick, tennis racket, golf club, you need to work all your muscles in concert. You need to have a strong, very strong core. I'm not talking about just your abs. You need to have your glutes engaged. You need to have the receptors in your feet engaged, the receptors in your hands, and connecting to each other through your core, so that you get the most amount of power, the most amount of efficiency, and then, again, at the same time, building resilience in your body. So we're going to start this foundation training with the pattern of a swing. We'll start with a vintage swing with a thick grip dumbbell, and then we'll progress, and that's going to be from dead, and then we're going to progress to an outlaw swing with the new gag. In this case, I'm using a 2-inch just to challenge my grip even further. And then we'll be going, lose that momentum, and then we'll be going to a two-handed dead swing with a heavier kettlebell. In between those drills, I'm going to show you some assistance drills to reset your shoulders, to understand how to pack your shoulders, so that when we're doing a swing, especially the three progressions that I chose for you today, when we swing, people have the tendency to reach forward and they're not able to really retract those shoulder blades, pull those shoulder blades together, keep your shoulders down, packed, and back this way. Instead, I see people letting the bell pull them, opening up their shoulder blades, putting extra wear and tear on your wrist, your elbows, tendons and ligaments, and especially your entire shoulder girdle. You're going to learn how to retract that. And I'm going to show you how to do that by just simply hanging from a bar and doing a couple of drills while we're up there. So those will be the assistance drills in between some of our swing patterns. All right, so let's get this started. So your first swing is going to be a vintage swing. Now, those of you who have done this before, again, it's always great to go back to the basics. When we work with swing patterns, we always start with vintage first, because it's just such it's a beautiful movement. It's raw, it's a full body movement. You're going from the floor to overhead in a split second. Energy is generated by a posterior chain. Your feet have to be rooted to the ground. Your receptors have to connect to your hands and feet. So it's just a beautiful exercise, and it's a great first progression to the other styles of swing that we'll show you today. All right, so taking it right from the beginning, whether you've done this or not before, okay? So you're going to take your hand, bring it to the front of the sphere. You're going to get the front sphere, and you're going to bring it behind your heels or at your heels. The reason for this is to load the hamstrings. You want your back flat, all right? Parallel to the floor is great. I mean, if you have long limbs and your chest is up a little higher, that's fine, as long as your hips are back, knee is over your ankle or your heel, okay? You're going to take a deep breath in, your arms nice and long, and in one shot, you sweep from dead straight up overhead. Pull it to the shoulder, no momentum, right back to the start position. Take a deep breath in, pull it to the shoulder, and down, okay? In the workout that I'm going to provide you with at the end of these 3 segments, I'll give you the rep ranges, all right? But I want you to practice these exercises week to week first, and then by the end of the 3rd segment, you'll be putting this together, I'll put it together for you in a comprehensive workout. But in the meantime, I want you to practice each segment separately and really hone in on what you need to make that movement benefit you and keep you free of potential injury, all right? And you get to see things. Do you need to work on your grip? Do you need to work on your understanding of deceleration? Do you need to work on your overall endurance? Maybe the rep ranges may be too high for you. So you need to determine that before we put it into the workout, okay? So again, week to week, practice these drills, and then in the 3rd segment, we'll put it together for you, all right? So once again, hand to the front of the sphere, behind you. These are some things that could go wrong. If you have a tendency to pull up with your arm first and not your legs, it might look like this. A lot of people do this preset where they'll drop their hips right before they launch, bend their elbow, and yank on the elbow before the bell leaves the ground. You want to do this from absolutely dead and sweep overhead. Your hips drive through, your arm follows, okay? So things to avoid: pulling unnecessarily on the elbow. You're using all this energy where you're loading your hamstrings. If you release that energy, there's no way you're going to tap into the potential of your posterior chain. You'll be using, in some cases, your front delt and starting to do a front raise, and then the bell will start to pull you forward, and you defeat the purpose of the movement pattern, okay? So there's your vintage swing. Practice this. Use an appropriate weight. The rep range on this is 5 on the right, 5 on the left. If you can do 7, 8, 9, or 10 and not feel challenged, that means the weight is too light, so go a little bit heavier, especially if you're using a thin grip dumbbell, okay? So get ready for your next drill. We're going to hang from a bar and show you how to pack those shoulders and keep those shoulders safe, all right? Check it out.